Welcome to Rayner Show. This is the podcast where I interview entrepreneurs and mavericks who get shit done. Hey, what's up, my friend? So, in today's episode, we have Pham Van Bang on the show. So, he's a low-profile person, right? And you probably would have never heard of him. But Bang, right, is one of the best options trader in Singapore and having made millions, right, throughout his trading career. What's interesting about him is that he tried to escape Vietnam, right, during the Vietnam War and failed. Not once, but twice, right? So you share his story later on. So he had no choice, right? He had to, stay back in Vietnam and simply, grind and claw his way up, right, to where he is now today. Pretty much a multi-millionaire. So in today's conversation, right, with Bang, you'll learn, right, how did he go from nothing, right, someone who can't even speak English, to becoming a director at P&G, Procter & Gamble, and now, today, a multi-millionaire. He talked about, why he trades options and not so much of stocks, why he's a net seller of options and not so much of a buyer. He also talked about how he validates a trading strategy, why he chose to keep his full-time job for many years, even though he's a successful options trader. Sounds good? Then go listen to it right now. Okay, Bang, so welcome to the show today. Happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so let's kick things right. So Bang, I think Adam Khoo, right, actually referred you to me and he said that you have a very inspiring story. So maybe you can walk us through, right? You were from Vietnam, right? And from what I understood, right, you tried to escape the country a few times, but things didn't work out in your way. So maybe take me back to in your early days, right, where your struggles, right, as a child trying to leave the country and couldn't, what happened back then?
Well, I'm Vietnamese. I was born there and came from a very humble family background with 7 siblings. And in 1975, where Vietnamese war actually ended, right, we went through a very tough time. So my parents, because my dad served the own government, the own regime. So apparently after the war, no one would offer him any job. So he became jobless. And my mom became a breadwinner to manage big families. And because the US imposed embargo in the country, we went through a very tough time, the whole country. And like many other Vietnamese parents at that point in time, my parents spent their last dollars or money or dong, Vietnamese dong, trying to send the kids out to other countries with the hope that we could have a better life as for ourselves. So let's start with my siblings, 3 of them, the sister and the twin brothers. So they were lucky. They went out first on small boat, and after a few days on the sea, they got rescued, and they were put in the refugee camp in Malaysia called Pulau Bidong in Malaysia. And after a few months there, they got migrated to the US. Right. So my 4th brother and myself, I'm the 5th one, were not that lucky. So after 2 years, my parents also got some money and they started to send my 4th brother and myself out. So the first attempt, we was on a boat with more than 60 people on it. And we also went out to the sea, international, sea areas. And, the way it worked, they just push people out there. And there will be any humanitarian organization, boats or vessel or like oil tankers or whatever who just go by and pick up people there, right? That's how it worked during that time. Unfortunately for us, we went there and floating around in the sea for 2 days and no one picked us up. And it was very tough because the boat was so crammed with 60 people and very small boat. We had no food, no drink. In fact, we had, but no one could eat anything because the wave is so tough, so high, like few meters high. And Anyway, I remember I was sitting in the front of the boat, and the wave kept going into my part, and then it like the sea water kept throwing into my body rounds after rounds. And you can see that after the sun came, it dried up the shirt, and then you see a layer of salt on my shirt also. I did not eat anything nor drink anything because everything I tried to take in, I immediately throw up because of waves condition. Even the captain himself could not stand it, so he was on seasick. He was seasick also. Now, to make it worse, the machine of the boat was broken, and we was on the verge of sinking. Literally, you see it, water get into the boat already, and people like panicking, get it out. And we were just praying very hard to see if any people can see us and rescue us. And after 2 days, we finally found a fishing boat nearby. And we wave, and they came. They say, okay, they got us back to the seashore of Vietnam, not any other country. But we have to pay. We have to pay for it. So we're very poor people, but some of us still have some money left on our pocket, like gold or jewelry or some like watches or something valuable. So we took out everything and gave to those people, and they took us back to the Vietnam seashore. And then when we reached there, everyone ran because otherwise the police would come and put us in jail, right? So that was the first time I thought that we could not make it, right? After a few months, my parents try again. So this time they also sent my brothers and myself on another boat. This time we have not even left the seashore, and the police already came, and everyone ran again. So after 2 times, I told my parents that, hey, I'm not going anywhere, because that I can see that you suffering. You have to sell a lot of things for us to go out. I don't want you to waste any more money. Right? So I say I will stay back. But my brother kept trying. I think he tried for almost 10 times, and finally he succeeded. So 4 of them get into the US eventually. So the fifth, I stay back with my mom and my dad and 2 sisters, right? Younger sister. And we went through a very tough time because as I told you, my parents sold almost everything in the family just to pay for the trips. And we essentially bankrupt. And my dad could not get a job. And to make it worse, he got a terminal illness. And he was bedridden for many years. And I remember my younger sister and myself were like in the hospital almost every day taking care of him until he passed away when I was in the 3rd year of university. So then, that's why I lost my biggest supporter, because my dad always the big supporters of me. He always pushed for me to get a higher education. My mom, on the other hand, my mom just wanted me to go and get some job outside to get some money, and I fully understand it because we was struggling. Okay, so after I graduated from the university, I landed the first job. Hey, good, right? So everything that thought that I would make a good money from here. And I tell you, my design to earn money to help my mom it was getting stronger and stronger every day. I really want to make a lot of money to help my mom because of she's suffering. Now, unfortunately, I did not get paid in my first job for 3 months. Long story short, there was a fight between my boss, the one who hired me, and the general managers, the CFO. There was a big fight between them personally, and the general manager hate the other guy, and he did not want to pay me either, right? So it was very frustrated during that time when I wanted to make money to help my mom, and I did not get paid. And my mom keeps pushing, "Hey, see, I told you, don't take any, study. Just go back, do something, get some money." But I kept my head down and I continued to work really hard, study hard, work hard, and finally the company recognized my contribution. Okay, so actually they sent me out for another extra curriculum course just for the sake of get rid of me, because historically when they send somebody out for studying, when you come back you don't have a job anymore, right? But I studied really hard during that time, and I got one of the top position in the class. And the general manager heard about that, and he called me back and said, "I heard you got an outstanding result in the academy and in the course." And he said, "Okay, why don't you come back? This time, don't fight. Okay, work. I pay you." That's what he said. Okay, so I say, "No, I'm not fighting anywhere. Anyone. I'm just a junior guy. Just come and do my best." So I work really hard, and after a year or so, they see my contribution, and finally they send me out to Kaohsiung in Taiwan, in the southern of Taiwan, to work there as a, what they call a station manager, or the airlines. This is the airlines company, by the way. Work as a airlines representative, so handling on the flights in and out in that region. So I was alone in Taiwan. Now, just interesting story. On the date when I flew there to Taiwan, the airplane pilot invited me into his cockpit and sat me down just to see his landing. So I sat in between the pilot and the co-pilot. Amazing to see all kinds of dashboard, and he landed in Kaohsiung. It's really thrilling experience during that time. So on that night, I wrote a letter. There was no email, just a normal letter and sent it to my siblings in the US. So what I told them, "Hey, you know what? I finally got out of the country. But unlike you, it's on an airplane cockpit, not the small boat." I guess it's very unique experience for me, and I would not think it will happen again, because that one happened before 9/11. Right nowadays, people won't be able to get into that. It's like a dream that comes true to me, because from a little boy in a very poor country, a small town, I could never imagine that one day I could have a chance to work outside Vietnam. That was the first time I got out and I worked in a foreign country, single-handedly, like stand alone. I have no boss there. My boss was in Vietnam, so I have to report to that person remotely. I have to manage everything in the day-to-day business alone. And that's another time when I was so frugal. I did not want to waste a penny on anything that is not necessary, right? Because I mean, the company, just for you to know, like the company gave me $1,000 a month, and that's it. I have to survive with that $1,000, including the hotel, eating, transportation, everything. That's within $1,000
salary.
They just give me one lump sum allowance for everything, including salary inside, right? So I have to survive with $1,000. So in that time, you know what? I rented probably cheapest hotel in Kaohsiung. Small, room, the small room with no windows, nothing. So there was time when I just go to bed, and I went to bed and I did not know what time, because there's no clock, there's nothing. I woke up, sometimes it's like past afternoon already, because there was no window, nothing, because the hotel was so cheap. And there was time when I walked through some of the Chinese restaurant there, People like dry, what's that? They dry the fried rice, right? And the smell was so good. But I have to swallow and walk by. You know, one plate of fried rice cost me like would have cost me like 20 NTD, which is Taiwan or NTW something, Taiwan dollars, which is about less than $1. But I did not take it. I sometimes I just skip breakfast. And eat something just to fill up my stomach. So intent is to save money. And I save money. I mean, $1,000 with own hotel. Sometimes I walk to the office. So everything within a month, I typically spend half of that. So I save like $500 for every month during that time. Very tough time, but I know in Vietnam, my mom's still working very hard. My younger sister is still study. So I need to help them. So at the end of the assignment, you know what? The total saving I got is like $7,000 US. And I brought home $7,000. I gave it to my mom. I say, Mom, this is my hard-earned money. She was very proud. I mean, this is a big money. And she still remember, I mean, she's still now in the US. Actually, that's another story. Every time I met her, she told me that story again. She told me that, because of that money you gave me, I had been able to get to trade like some agriculture products, and then I multiply that money and help your sisters later on and help the family. So I feel very proud that I got that money by saving as much as I could, and that's where I start. And by the way, in that company, that's where I met my wife now, right? So she's another story. She worked in a ticketing office, so like the airline agent. So she kept sending me a few things, newspaper for me to read. There was no internet there, so just read newspaper, whatever hard print, and I read it every day. So that's one. She sent me some instant noodles for me to get by. That's why I love her for that. She understands that. We try to save.
Was she Taiwanese or Vietnamese?
No, she's Vietnamese.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Just like you posted to Taiwan to work there.
Yeah, so I worked there alone. She was still working in the same company, the airlines in Vietnam. Yeah, so that's where I started. And then, so after 3.5 years, I stopped working there, and I joined Procter and Gamble.
So what were you then, doing at Procter and Gamble? What's the corporate ladder like for you over there?
So I joined Procter in 1995, which is almost 30 years now, 29 years now. So I joined it from day one when the company entered Vietnam. Actually, day -3, actually, not even day one. So I joined them a few days before it started the operation there. And as a junior person, and right now I look back, right, I feel very proud because I was the first and probably the longest standing, because lots of people who joined me, the same batchmate, have left the company a long time ago, right? So I was still work with them for 28 years in total until I retired last year, right? So from the junior level, so from the local airlines company to this company, I was like a big jump in my life because this is a U.S. company and the way they treat people is very different. They respect employee and provide employee with lots of training. In fact, the first 3 months in P&G, they sent me and a few others to the Philippines for 3 months training. So that when we come back, we set up the whole system from the scratch. That's what we did. So I worked there. After 4 years, I got promoted to what they call now the director level. Right? So I was the first Vietnamese staff who got to that level. And then right after I got promoted, there was a staffing crisis in the Philippines. Some director there quit the job abruptly and just left everything. And my boss was double-headed. So he was a finance manager for Vietnam and the business unit in the Philippines at the same time. So he was looking for a person who could fill the position immediately. So I raised my hand. He was very reluctant because there was no Vietnamese who ever worked there, right? So apparently he's not very sure. So, but he could not find a better candidate. So he agreed finally. And within a month, I see myself in Manila alone. Because my wife, at that point in time, we already married. So, and actually we have the first kid also, my daughter. So my wife and my daughter stay back. So I went there first and I worked there like as a split family for almost a year. And again, we worked really hard because the business, I think at that point in time, the business was in trouble. We just got out of the Asian financial crisis in 1998, 1999. So that early 2000, when I went there, the business was in trouble. We was like meeting every 2 hours to make sure we ship enough quantity to break even for the business. Tough, very tough. I worked like days and nights, and but by the time I left there, we was at the record profit. Everything it's good. After the Philippines, they moved me here to Singapore in 2001. That's the first time I came to Singapore. And I continue to have that job, but I did it here from Singapore because it became the regional hub or regional headquarters for Procter. So I worked here for another year before they sent me back to Vietnam, heading the finance organization. So I like CFO for P&G Vietnam. I worked there for 3.5 years, and time to move on. And I keep pushing for another assignment outside the country. So my boss found one assignment in China. So again, we moved there in Guangzhou for 2 years. And after 2 years, they moved me to Jakarta, Indonesia. I worked in Jakarta for 3 years. And finally, they kept moving me around, and families and kids, everything going with me every time. And finally, they say, okay, there's no point to keep me as expatriate because I already done the job in Vietnam, right? So they decided to localize me here in Singapore for the second time. Localize means they moved my career base from Vietnam to Singapore. So I became like locally hired employee here in Singapore. So that was 2011. So 13 years ago. So since then, I've been in Singapore, settled here, worked for Procter for another 12 years in Singapore before I stopped working there and I decided to retire early.
So all along, how many kids you have? I heard one daughter?
Daughter and then son. My son is like still now he's in the NS. He's serving NS,
Okay.
right?
So I'm curious, because young kids and then your family is always moving around. Are they like, the studies impacted in any way? How do you deal with it?
Surprisingly, for kids, they adapt very well. I mean, they make friends easily. Unlike us, maybe we are getting older. It's harder to make friends. For them, I mean, new country, new school, new kids, new friends. That's it. No problem at all because ever since we moved, right, they're always in international curriculum. So it's not like something like, I don't know, they never have experience with the local schooling here. But international curriculums, I think it's quite standard. So they can adapt very well as well.
Then, you come from Vietnam, and I suppose back then, in the early days, you don't speak much English because when you go there, people don't speak much English.
That's right.
Then how do you then, have a pretty darn good command of English?
You know, this is something very interesting. This is a very interesting question you asked and long story to tell. So I told you I joined Procter in 1995, right? So the way Procter do like performance review and career review, they always ask you one question: what are the areas you want to improve, right? And ever since I joined Procter, I always put I want to improve my communication, English communication skills. Ever since I put it there, and it's been there for many years, and every boss that I've been through, they know it that I want to improve in communications. Unfortunately, I'm not a nature speaker. I could not make a good progress on speaking, especially in English. I tell you many times I came into the conference and I hear people speaking, especially like Indians or Scotch people, like English people. They have slight different accent than American one. Difficult for me to pick up and understand what they mean. I keep pushing for it. And Procter is a very good company who provides so many different courses for you to improve in communication, like presentation skills, all kinds of internal courses that you can take to improve. Unfortunately, I don't feel that is effective enough to me. I don't know why, right? But for me, maybe I'm a slow learner. I could not pick up that fast. I mean, many of my friends in the company pick up very fast. They can improve their skills very quickly and easily. Not me, right? So when I was for the second time when I was localized here in Singapore, so I say again, I want to improve this area. I even sign up for like Toastmaster or something in Singapore, right? And yeah, I make some improvement, but not at the level that I wanted. So then I watched some YouTube videos and I'm very inspired with all the good speakers like Obama, Michelle Obama now, right? A lot of people who can speak very inspiring kind of messages and stuff. I say I want to make good speech and have a good communication. And then I get to know Adam Khoo, right? So I say, okay, this guy is a good speaker. He speaks very well. So, I mean, you brought me the very interesting story. So I say, okay, I want to learn from him. So my motto is like, if you want to improve something, I need to learn from the best, right? So I think Adam is one of the best speakers, right? So I say, okay, I need to learn from him. So I signed up in his Web Academy. So first of all, before I signed it up, I went to the screening. What is that? They call it preview.
Oh, the
webinar,
seminar preview. Okay.
Like 3 hours when he show us how he trade or invest, the 50 moving average, sloping up, 150, 200, those kinds of things. And the way he explains it, so simple that everyone can understand, right? I say, this guy is so good. He know how to break down the complex thing and speak in the language that everyone can understand. Okay, I say, I like to be like him, right? So then I signed up the Well Academy course, I think about 9-10 years ago. And the intent for me is not to learn from him on investment, but to learn his presentation and communication skill. That's my intent. Because that's the only way I got to know the best, right? And we've been partnering for many years now. And the way I got to know and partner with Adam is not by chance. It's based on my planning. And that's another story. I can tell you another day. I need to tell Adam first, but he did not know that I meet him not by chance, right? But the fundamental reason why I want to partner and work with him is just to learn from him, from the communications standpoint. But after that, I realized that his investment skill is damn good. I love it. At first, I thought I'm the finance director in a big company, right? I know how to evaluate the business. I run some work on the M&A also. So I know how to analyze a balance sheet and all kinds of financial statements. So I kind of say, okay, I know how to do it, right? So I don't need to learn from Adam on it. But later on, when I learned from him and I'm part of his community as well, so I learned that the way he evaluate companies, quite methodical. I don't have to say it, but very structural, very logical, and makes a lot of sense. Right. So so that's another benefit after knowing Adam, right? Not just about communication. He have the full system of investing, very disciplined way, very logical way. But you're right. So from knowing nothing on English to speaking a broken English, but not, I mean, I'm still speaking some broken English here, but at least I'm seeing that I'm improving. So part of the work that I have with Adam was to teach people, right? So before COVID, we have the option class in Singapore where I conducted the training face to face, right? So I think that started many years, 7 or 8 years ago. And I still remember I was so nervous. I never stand in front of a big audience to talk about anything, let alone, teaching them on investing and trading. So Adam actually did a few rounds of rehearsal with me. He recorded the videos and he showed me this one, you need to improve this, you need to phrase this and that. So he's the master of that, right? So then I went ahead and then I started very nervous at the beginning, but improving over time. And after a few years, I still told Adam, I'm still not at that level yet. I still feel a little bit awkward speaking and, trying to find the right words to say and something. He said, come on, I've done it for 20 years. You just started. Okay. Don't beat yourself up, right? So okay, that's a good perspective. So I kept learning from him, and now with COVID and everything goes online, that opened up a whole new opportunity for me to communicate with people. Now with thousands of people, right? So the last webinar we just did a few weeks ago on the Beat the Market, we have 5,000 people online. I mean, live asking questions, and I feel very natural. I'm getting better and better in speaking with audience. In the last Outlook event in Marina Bay Sands, we also have almost 1,000 people there. I was nervous when I came up to the stage, but once I'm there, I became so natural, nothing all good anymore. I mean, I told them the story and people laugh and make me even more confident. So I really appreciate it. I really appreciate Adam for helping me improving one of the skills that I've been pushing for so long, right? That's the thing that's good you touch on it. I did not plan to tell you this story, but it's something I feel very proud of.
I'm happy to have heard that story, and not sure if Adam has heard of it, but okay, if he watched this episode, he will know of this story then.
Yeah.
So now maybe I'd like to touch on options trading, right? Since I think many of us, right, who knows you, we know that you deal a lot with options trading. So maybe let's take a step back and talk about how do you even first get started with options trading.
So the first time when I got to know options was, I think, about 19 years ago. 19 years ago, that is 2003. Yeah. 2003, that was when I was in Vietnam. So I was sent back to Vietnam to head the finance organization during that time. But before I got to know option, I already started trading stocks, right? So I started trading stock when I was in the Philippines, actually, in 2000. I don't know about you, but I still vividly remember the first stock I ever traded. I don't know if you still remember the first stock you ever
Mine
traded.
was a Sembcorp Marine.
Oh, is that the Singapore Marine? Are they still around? No.
I have no idea. I know that you just went down the moment I hit buy here.
Okay, my first was MOT, which is Motorola. So Motorola in 2000 was a big corporation, right? before the iPhone for sure, right? So they have very famous product like clamshell, mobile phone, big telecom business. So everyone knows them. So that's why I want to buy them. Right? I know this is an iconic kind of U.S. company there. Now I did not know how. Okay, this is very interesting. Sorry, before that. So I came to the Philippines from Vietnam, knowing nothing about stock markets because there was no stock market in Vietnam at that point in time. So when I worked there, I kept hearing my finance colleagues talking with each others on stock market valuation indicators, this and that, market PE, on those kinds of indicators and metrics. I had no clue what they're talking about, so I felt left behind, and I felt also very embarrassed as well because how could I know nothing about this one being a finance director, right? I say, I got to know this. I got to learn this one. So I started studying it by reading some financial books and sign up on some of the websites, went into some chat groups, hearing people talking about, financials and investing. After a few months, I did not feel that I make any good progress on this. So then I realized that for me to really learn, I need to have some skin in the game. So then I say, okay, then let's put some money at work, real money. Otherwise, I won't be able to learn. Then I decided to open a trading account. Now, at that point in time, I did not know how to open a trading account in the Philippines. Then what I did was I called my brother, one of the twin brothers there. So I asked him to help me open a trading account in TD Ameritrade in the US under his name. And he gave me the password for me to trade. So he watched over my shoulder kind of thing. Now, he was not a expert or any mean. He's also one of the retail trader like me. And I transferred the money to him. I think I remember I transferred $3,000 there. And that's where I started. Now, $3,000 at that point in time is a big money, right? It's like 2 times of my salary at that point in time. So that's why when first time I pressed the buy button, I felt that the blood's running through my veins, goosebumps everywhere, right? I decided to buy 100 shares of Motorola at $30 per shares, okay? And after I bought it, I stay up almost for the entire night watching CNBC to see the stock price going up and down, and my heartbeat like go with it. And I feel very excited. I say this is something that a unique experience that I never experienced before, and this is something for me to really learn. Because the moment you put your real money in, then you start searching all information that relate to the companies that you are investing in, right? So all kinds of articles or news regarding to Motorola. So I read all of them and want to understand what's going to happen to my stock. So a few days after I bought it, the stock price went up a bit and I felt very excited. I said, it is the way, right? It's so easy, right? It's the way to make money, right? So good. Let's do more. So I save more money and I transfer more to my brothers. And I bought more shares, different companies this time. So, but because I did not take any proper investing course, right? I just try and error, and it's really like impulsive kind of investing. No methodology, nothing. Just based on this person saying something and I buy. So I became very speculative, right? I tell you some experience I had at that point in time was like, okay, I kept chasing a stock. The stock kept going up and up, like Nvidia one day, right? But at that point in time, there was some other stock that went up a lot, and I kept chasing it. And then after I bought, it declined, right? I say, How could, right? How could it be, right? Because people keep saying this is a good company and will go further in the future. On the other hand, when I saw a good stock that dropped significantly, like 30%, 40%, I say, how low could it be, right? This is the bottom already. And I bought into it just to see it dropping more. So I say, it's so hard. It's not that easy. So then, because of my nature, I don't know you, but for me, because when my money is there and I put my laptop in front of my bed, because my wife's not there, because she's still in Vietnam. We was in a split family, I told you. So I kept my laptop open and next to my bed. So I slept a bit and wake up and see what I see. Keep doing it. And it really drained my energy. It really drained my energy. At the same time, my daytime job, which is my real job, was getting heavier and heavier because business was in trouble, I told you. And to the point that I felt so exhausted. I have no energy left. And I say, it's not going to work out, not going to sustain. We have to find a better way to do this. Otherwise, none of this will work. I mean, the real job and the trading job won't work for me because I have no energy left. Especially in some days when the market went down a lot, right? You felt very frustrated. You felt very depressed going to work. Work also have trouble, so could not really do your work. So I told myself I need to find a better way. So then somebody told me that, hey, why don't you put your money in mutual fund? Okay, I said, okay, let me do it because this could be the way for me to have a peace of mind. I don't have to watch my stock anymore. So there, I called a fund manager to come to my office, and he presented. And okay, and then after that, I put $5,000 in his mutual fund. So after I put money in mutual fund, indeed, I have a peace of mind. I don't have to watch it anymore because at that point in time, for some reason, they never published the fund performance until the end of the year. They know nothing on their website. So then, when the year end came, so the fund manager came to my office and presented. And I said, hey, here's the performance. And to my surprise, the fund lost 10% in that year. And of course, I was frustrated. Now, the thing that made me really pissed was even when the fund lost 10%, they charged me 2% for management fee. I say, what the hell is it? I mean, how could they lose my money and still charge me for it? But later on, I realized that that's how it works, right? The fund management is based on the AUM, the assets under management. Regardless of how the fund performs, they still get a cut of it. Okay, so I said, okay, if he lost my money and then still being paid, I would I better take my money back and to my destiny, and I can decide myself. I can do a better job than that. So I took the money back at a loss, and then I kept looking for a new way. That's where I found option in 2003. Now, when I came to the option, I just get amazed with the power of options. That you can do many things with options. You just use a little money, buy a call option, buy a put option. You could potentially hit a jackpot or make money, big money. So I feel very excited. That's how I felt at that point in time. Now, the thing is, the first 7 years of trading option, I did not take a proper training course either. It's really the experimental kind of experience, just trade based on my guts and stuff like that. And I end up with losing money most of the time. So the result has been hits and misses at best. The worst thing is many times when I made money, I did not know why I made money, or when I lost money, I did not know why I lost money, right? I have no clue. Just buy a call option before the earnings, and then earnings release, stock price goes up as I expected. But hey, how can my call option lost value? How could I lose money when I got the direction right? So a lot of mistake, all kinds of mistake you could make in option trading as like a newbie or the rookie kind of trader. And nowadays, I tell you, there's still a lot of people like that. So when I saw newbies trading option today, it rekindled my memories. So this is not me many years ago. I could not blame them because I was one of them before until I took the proper training, and that changed the whole way I trade options. Okay, but the first 7 years I told you, it's really interesting and paying a lot of costly mistakes for my hard-learned lessons in trading. Sometimes I hit the jackpot, but I also blew up 2 accounts.
Let's talk about options trading then, right? So maybe now today you can share what's your approach to options trading.
Yeah. So okay, let me finish the first part first. The area where I still made a lot of mistakes.
Sure.
Right? I told you I make some good money. I mean, hit some jackpots once in a while during that period of time when I did not have a proper understanding of how option work, but purely is based on luck and than anything else. Okay. For example, one case that I experienced when I was in China at that point in time. So at that point in time, the way I trade option was just buy a call option before the earnings, and hopefully the stock price spike up and you make a lot of money, right? Or buy a put option when you speculate that this company will go bankruptcy or something, right? So there was time, I remember that, I think that 2007 when I was in China, there was a company called Research Emotion, RIMM. So now they call it BlackBerry,
yeah.
right? So Research Emotion is the one who introduced BlackBerry device before the iPhone, right? And it was very famous, right? Lots of people love it. And I still remember one of my colleagues in the company carry the BlackBerry, very proud, okay, put on the table every meeting. So, and I think they got more popular after 9/11. Okay, so basically, BlackBerry at that point in time, Research Emotion was a growing stock. I remember the 5 years in lead up to the 2007, their stock price went on the way from $2 to $70. 5 years. So this is a very high momentum stock. And that's why the option premium is sky high. And I noticed that the reason why the stock price went up so much so fast and doing so well is because they keep growing, they keep beating expectation on every single earnings and raise the expectation, raise the guidance for the subsequent quarter as well. So the way people play option, or they call it play option at that point in time, was just buy a call option before the earnings. Stock price will go up towards the earnings, and then you sell it, right? So I jumped into that train. So I remember on that time when I was in China, I bought a call option. That's very cheap one. The way I traded at a point in time, I just buy far out of the money option, like the option with the high, very high, far away strike price, with very cheap premium, because I don't want to lose a lot of money. That's my understanding at that point in time. So I bought like 35 contracts of call options and 30 cents a piece. 30 cents, that's it. So 30 contract times 30 cents times 100 share per contract. So about $1,000 in total. So okay, the intent for me at that point in time was that, okay, if my call option just goes up a little, like from 30 cents to 40 cents, I would be happy and close it for 30% profit, right? That's what my plan was. Because I know this company the price will go up before the earnings. So yeah, so after I bought, and then the reason why I can buy it at a very cheap price was because the stock price was at 70 and I bought like 100 strike price. You know, it's very far away, call option. That's why it's cheap. And the option would expire in 12 days, less than 2 weeks. And the thing is, the expiry date is after the earnings, right? So the intent of the play was that, okay, I want to have the stock price going higher before the earnings. The option value should appreciate, and then I would sell it. So then I kept the option until the last day before the earnings, and the earning was after the market closed. So that was early morning in China time, right? So on that day, I mean, when before the earnings, yes, the stock price went up, option makes some good money. I say, let's hold this one for a little more to get the most value out of it. And I will close it just before the market close, right, on that day to get the profit out. Now, I woke up early in the morning in China, just like half an hour before the market closed to close the position, right? So I watch a little bit. Yes, towards the closing time, the stock price did go up. The option value also went up. So I'm very happy. So when I was preparing to press the sell button, what happened? My computer, my laptop hung, right? Just hang, right? I was panicked. I did not know how to do, how could I exit it now because it's suddenly frozen. And I have to restart my computer. And by the time I got my computer up and running again, I already hear CNBC next to me say, ting, 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 the market closed. Okay, so, okay, gone. This money is gone. I mean, how could you expect the stock price to go from 70 to 100? I mean, I know the earning could be good, but no way it could get past $100. And the option will expire in a few days' time, so it become worthless, right? So then when the market, my computer was up, it's closed. I could not do anything with the options because you cannot trade option after hours. So I closed my laptop and went to bed. I say, okay, I lost that money. Still a big money for me at that point in time. So the day after when I was working and I got an email from my brother. Remember, I used his name. He opened that account for me, so the account is still under his name, and he still have the access to it. So he watched it, right? But he did not say anything. He just say, "Are you still holding Research Emotion? If you do, congratulations." Okay, I say, "Oh, what is it? I thought that money is gone, right?" But then I checked the news. So after hours, the company did release blowout earning results, and the stock price went past 100. I mean, it's amazing. And I was so nervous. Right? I said, okay, now we are back in the money. It's good. So I went home early, have a early dinner, and anxiously wait for the market to open. And when the market opened, the stock price went on the way to 105. And I cashed out my 35 contracts there at $6 per piece, right? So from 30 cents to $6, that's 20 times, 2,000%. It's good money. So from 1,000, I got $19,000. It's like a mini jackpot for me. Is that good? The money is good, but the trading is not. It's pure luck, right? You know, it's luck. How could I make that? How could I know that, right? Something like that. I trade, the way I traded options like that. Very speculative. Lost money most of the time. So I got this big money, just pure luck. So that's one of the examples. I have another one, but it's long story. But that's the way I traded option. But despite of that good money, I kept trading that way, and eventually I lost money. So when I came to Singapore, I took the proper option class. Even with some experience that I had in option trading, and the teacher taught me a very basic thing, very basic. I mean, I tell you, versus what Adam and I are teaching people right now, that one was basic. But that one still blew up my mind because that was totally different versus what I have been doing. Completely different. So that changed the paradigm, changed the way I trade option. I am no longer option bias. So I became the net option seller, right? Then that's increased my probability of winning most of the time. So since then, so I learned from him, appreciated what he taught me, but I brought it to the next level. And when I partnered with Adam together, we work out much more comprehensive hand-holding kind of experience and ecosystem to support communities altogether, much better than the one I took, right? And that's the mission that Piano Profits and myself have been doing. And the key thing that is different versus the time when I lost money in the first 7 years was that there's a few things. Number one, you have a much better chance of winning when you are the net option seller, not buyer. So option seller is like you selling premium, right? You act as if you are an insurance company. You sell insurance policy to insurance buyers. You get the money most of the time. You earn money most of the time. However, once in a while, you will get hit because some accident happens, right? And you have to compensate for it. So exactly like insurance business. Insurance business is the same thing. They sell insurance policy to many insurance buyers. You buy insurance for your health, buy insurance for your cars, buy insurance for your house. You don't expect to claim the insurance compensation for it because most of the time nothing happened. Business as usual. No accident, no burning out, nothing. But you are happily renew your insurance contract every single year for your home, right? And you are happy to lose that money to have a peace of mind. Insurance company, on the other hand, they act as a counterparty. They sell that insurance to you, but they take the risk. Occasionally, there will be some accident. There will be some burning. There will be some compensation that they need to pay out. But cumulatively, they will make more money from many option contracts that they sell. And that will be more than enough to pay off the compensation that they need to pay once in a while. That is the philosophy that I have changed to. So I became the net option seller, where I sell option most of the time. I still buy sometime, but overall I'm the net seller. And the probability of winning as a seller is much higher. Exactly like insurance business. I mean, 99% of the time you don't have accident happen, right? Business as usual. Yeah. Very rarely you have accident and you have to pay for it. So, but if the accident happens, then you need to pay a big lump sum compensation. Then you need to manage your risk. That is the key one. Don't overtrade. Don't oversell. Don't do a lot of position that is so risky that you cannot afford. Even insurance company, they don't take the risk by themselves. They buy reinsurance, right? Most of the insurance companies buy reinsurance from a bigger guy who insure them for they call it tail risk event, so that they don't have a significant exposure. Some catastrophic happens, right? Event happen. So that's exactly the same thing. When you sell option, make sure you cap your risk, you cap your loss. Don't just collect premium. Make sure you use part of it to buy reinsurance for yourself to cap your max risk, so that you don't blow up your account, right? If something happens. So that is a key one that I have moved to. The other one that very important to me as well as an option trader is I want to be in the position that they call it positive theta. Theta in the option language, that means time decay, right? One of the Greeks that options trader, they use. Theta measures the time decay of the option value for every single day passing. So you wake up, how much money you lose on that day if you buy option. That's exactly what I did during the first 7 years when I buy option, and then every single day I lost some money because of time decay. That's theta. Nowadays, most of my position in my portfolio have the positive theta, meaning time decay works in my favor. So my counterparty who on the other side will lose money every single day. So that is the key thing for me to consider when I place a trade, right? So when you have the time in your side, I mean, you can work, you can sleep very well. You know that when you wake up, somebody brings some money to you. So I have the theta friend working 24 hours for me every single day, which bring me money, whether I'm on vacation, I'm sleeping on the beach, no matter where. So that's another one. Now, often you see that to have a positive theta, you need to be selling option. Not always. There are strategies, especially the one that I created myself. When you are the net buyer, they call it the debit trade, when you have to pay to enter the trade. Those trades still have a positive theta. I mean, you have time decay working in your favor as well. So right now, some people maybe mistakenly think that to be you are a seller, you want to have the positive theta, you have to be a seller. No, not necessarily. There are some debit trade. I mean, you need to buy to enter. Some debit trade that allows you to have a positive theta as well. Simple example is like calendar spread or diagonal spread. You enter the trade, you pay, right? You pay, you buy a long call option and you sell a short call option. So you net pay a debit for the trade. But the trade should have a positive theta for you, meaning time decay works in your favor. So I like to have those kinds of trade. If you look at my portfolio, my theta could be easily like $4,000 a day. Meaning if the market doesn't move, and the stock price doesn't move at all, time decay brings me about $4,000 a day. That's how it works for me right now. Yeah.
So let's say $4,000 a day. What is the amount of capital that is required to bring in that amount of?
No, I'm talking about, so I'm talking rather big account, like $2-3 million, right? But not always, but you get $4,000 a day because there will be a time movement always, right? So time movement can hit you a little bit. So net, maybe you get about $2,000 a day kind of thing on average. Yeah, but that's, we are talking $2-3 million account.
So, throughout your options trading career, you have made millions. So maybe could you walk me through like an overview of how slowly build and grow that account to where it is today?
Yeah. So there will be bad days, good days. There will be bad years, good years as well, as always in trading, right? But on average, I have been able to get about, would say, 25 to 30% a year on average for how many years I've been trading. I mean, since I got a proper option training. So the last few years has been good. Last year I got 84% return. And this year to date, so 8 months have gone now, I got 41% year to date. So so I'm getting good money over the past 2 years. But 2002, I also got a big drawdown because the market was on the bear market. So that was bad time as well. But on average, that's 25-35% kind of return a year.
And what's your, let's say, your winning rate on average?
Winning rate is high. I mean, in option, is unlike trading stocks, right? Trading stock, you can, based on your technical setup, this and that. Reality is the first tick after you enter can be up, can be down. It's 50-50 chance. You never know. And also, so that's one. So stock is really, to me, it kind of close to 50-50 chance. But option, you can choose different strategies, some of which allows you to have like 80-90% probability of winning. Most of my trades have about 70% probability of winning, 65 to 70%.
Okay, and of course, right, since your winning rate is relatively high on high side, so you risk a dollar. Sorry, I mean you let's say you have a 70% winning rate, right? So what is maybe your average gain to loss? Let's say on average you make $1. How much would your loss be?
Correct. That's a good question, because when you go for a high probability of winnings, the trade-off is always you have an unfavorable risk and reward ratio. I mean, your max risk will be higher than your max loss. That's for sure, right? So on a typical trade, when I have like 70% probability of winning, if I just use a simple strategy like boon put spread or iron condor, for example, 70% probability of winning rate, maybe your max loss is 2 times of max win. I mean, your max profit. That's the ratio, right? But for the one that I created for myself, the profile looks better. Normally, I stop loss at 50% of the max loss. I mean, if I enter the trade at I pay $1,000, I stop loss at $500. Yeah, but I could make 50 to 150% return on investment on that trade. Yeah. So those are the thing that I kept inventing or testing and using it for myself, and now I'm teaching people for it as well.
So you mentioned testing, right? So how do you then go about validating a trading strategy to know whether it really works or whether it's due to luck, like earlier?
That's a good one, because you're right that there are more than 100 option strategies out there available in the market right now. I hardly use more than 5 or 6 of them, right? The one that I use the most is maybe calendar spread, iron condor, boon put spread, and diagonal spreads. But I created for myself different sets of strategies that I felt more suitable for my lifestyles and risk tolerance. So I created, I think, 5 or 6 proprietary kind of strategies where I teach people right now. And so total, I use about 10 different strategies on my day-to-day basis. But the thing here is the one that so whenever I introduce to my students any new strategies, my criteria has to be, first of all, I need to test this at least 9 months to 1 year successfully. Right? At least the strategy has to be tested successfully for at least 9 months to 1 year before I ever attempt to introduce to anyone. And the success criteria for me is it has to be generating consistent profit. Very clear entry and exit rules. And in the worst case scenario, you don't blow up your account, right? So I prefer the defined risk kind of trade rather than undefined risk, because people know exactly how much is your max loss when you enter the trade. So there are several criteria, but I need to test it at least for 9 months, right? Successfully for my real money account. And by the time I teach them, I need to show them how many trades I have taken, what is the probability of winning, how much absolute money I have made, and percentage of return on investment. I have to show them on the data. Here's what I have done so far. And I also need to give them some watch outs on, okay, in some situation like this, how do you manage it? If you are too rushed to introduce a new strategy without a proper testing, verifying, it would be dangerous, because you may not have gone through on the different market situation or scenarios. So then you may not be able to cover some cases. When it suddenly happen, now people will ask, so what do I do, right? So that's why I need to test it at least 9 months. Most of the time, I test it more than a year. Yeah. So if you watch some of the events that PNR Profits have done over the past 3 years, right? So I introduced, Crouching Bull. I introduced Chase Lizard, my own version. And in the last event, I introduced a DS Hammer. So those are the ones that I created. Before that, I created some other things like Snipex strategy. I created like earning probability spread. Earning sniper spread. So I just give it different names, different strategies. But I do have my own strategies that I have personally tested and proven that it works well for me before I introduce it.
So let's say someone like who has a full-time job, right? They can't spend too much time watching the markets. What is maybe an option strategy that you would recommend such a person to follow?
Yeah, for me, right? I find your questions very relevant because myself, before I retired last year, I've been doing both. I have a full-time job in the daytime, very busy at my level, a lot of work. But at nighttime, I also do trading, right? So how do I manage both, right? And many times I have nighttime business call as well. So how do I manage it? So I need to find a strategies. I need to find some strategies that allow me to cater that profile of traders, right? Traders who are busy professionals. So my typical strategies, the strategies that I typically use are not requiring you to monitor it every 5 minutes or something. No, you don't need to do that. Okay, because it won't. It's very taxing, very time consuming, and very hard for people to keep watching your position like a hawk every few minutes, right? So my typical trade is good for several months, but once a week or once a week or every fortnight, you need to roll the option to collect more premium. That's my typical strategies. It's like every 1 week or 2 week or 3 weeks, you go and collect more money. That's it, and then you can sleep well because during your sleep, somebody bring you some money. It's like you rent out the apartment, so you got money every month, something like that. So you don't need to watch it every few minutes. But the strategy would have very clear criteria. If it hits this stop loss, go up. I don't put an automatic stop loss because option have low liquidity. I don't want it to be triggered prematurely. But I have it clearly mentioned in my notification to student that, hey, this is stop loss. Percentage of return on investment. If it hits a certain level, you get out. No question asked. Okay? And then if it hits the profit range between this and that, it's better to take money and run. So you don't have to watch it.
So let's say, because I know you trade a multiple option strategy. So let's say for someone with a full-time job, what is like one strategy or what's the things to look for before they put on an options trade? Is there a particular setup that you are looking for?
Yeah. So first of all, first one, for those people who are busy, I just tell you that there are many strategies that allow you to do both work at the same time, your daytime job and your trading job as well. And for me, I use technical, but I don't use like very sophisticated kind of technical indicators. I use some very simple one like moving average, stochastic. So those are the one that I use the most. I find very reliable for me, and I trade on the daily candle, so not much moving, and just use some of the strategies that has been proven consistently and generating good money. And I have few of them in the curriculums with Adam. And for those who busy, you just pick a few of them. And I mentioned it's in my curriculum as well. For those who busy, you can just pick up a few and then just focus on those. We have like 20 different strategies in the curriculum, but I don't use all of them.
And what are some maybe market conditions that are favorable for you, and what are market conditions that is really you dislike?
Yeah. So for me, the best market condition that I like is the sideways market. The market is like steady, maybe trending up a little bit, right? Going sideways, steady, going up. That is the best market condition for me, for my positions. Because I told you my portfolio have very good theta, time decay. So even the stock market goes sideways, the theta brings me money, right? If it goes up, it's even better because most of my trades are moderately bullish trades. So if it goes up a little bit, it's even better. It goes up a lot. Yes, I could make a lot of money, but I don't like that market because that market is like a little bit like exuberant, right? It's like overstretched, a lot of frothy thing in the market, and it will be like correcting after that, right? I like the market that is more steady because that is more sustainable than a big spike and a big pullback kind of thing. Or the market that is slightly negative, I mean, going down gradually, like the one that's happening right now in the past few days, going down a little bit every day because it's overbought. Now it's working its way out of the overbought condition. So that's also a good market. Of course, the market where it collapsed, like the one that happened in 2022, that is the worst one. I don't like that one. That one definitely will lose money.
Okay. But that one doesn't happen often, right? More often than not, it's usually trending up, however, it's choppy.
Statistically, yes.
Okay. But when it happens, then it's going to be...
Yes.
Okay.
Of course, you can always say that you can use bearish strategies to make money in the bear market. But I find it very tough. Very tough. Emotionally, psychologically, it's very tough to use the bear strategy to make money in the bear market. It's good on the hindsight. You look back and say, okay, I should have used this and that. But when you are in that situation, somehow your emotion tells you otherwise. You always find some excuse to say, no, this is a bottom already. It's about to rebound. It looks like it's hitting some support. And you always have something in your mind telling you that don't do it. Do the bullish one. Yeah. But again, as you say, I mean, most of the time market goes higher than going lower. So
okay, just a quick one. Do you know that you can download the transcript of this episode? This way, you can easily recap the lessons and insights of this episode without having to listen to it again. And that's not all, because you can also download the transcripts of all my past episodes and quickly catch up on what you've missed. So if you're interested, go down to raynerteo.com/script. Script is spelled as SCRIPT. So once again, it's raynerteo.com/script. Now, back to the show.
So speaking of support, right, I'd like to hear your take on maybe leap options. So basically, leap options are, for those who are listening, options which are expiring a long time, right? Few years. So like, let's say, for example, I'm looking at the chart, then the stock price comes to a multi-year low. Maybe it bounce off this area of support, 3-4 times in the past. Then, hey, it's coming back to this area of support again. And since it's a weekly time frame, I can maybe buy a call leap option that expire maybe 2-3 years in the future. What's like maybe some of the things that I need to be aware of when I'm buying a leap option at this area of support for this stock?
I can tell you, leaps option is not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea, though it's not the best idea. Okay, it's not bad because if you are so convinced that this stock will rebound, it's just a matter of time it will rebound, then you could buy a leaps option because it's just go with your conviction. Because leaps, the benefit of leaps option, of course, because the decay is very slow. When you buy a call option, every day you lose some money, but for a long dated option like leaps, in more than a year or longer, the decay will be slower. So you don't feel that you'll be hurt a lot every day. Just buying you just pay some money to wait for the stock price to go higher. So that's not a bad idea to my opinion. But you still lose money every day, right? If the stock price doesn't go. And then there will be some stocks that stay depressed or stay low for many years, like Alibaba, for example. If somebody just buy leaps option on Alibaba over the past 3 years, you'll be losing money as well. My preferred way in that scenario would be, I could still buy a call option, leaps option, expiring in 2-3 years. But instead of just buying a call option, I would use it as a collateral. And then I would sell a higher call option on top with a shorter expiry date to collect some premium while we wait for the stock price to recover. So that is the concept of, I don't know how to call it, lease to rent or something. Or, you get, because the short option that you sell there, because the shorter expiry date, the decay will be faster. So the time decay in that short dated option will be more than the money you lose in a long call. And therefore, your net trade, the two legs together, will have a positive theta. You are paid to wait now. So that's the concept, the positive theta that I'm talking about. So I prefer that kinds of strategies than just purely buy a call option and hopefully the stock price will go. What if it takes 2 years for the stock price to recover? Then you lose a lot, right? Better to use it as a collateral, and then on top of that, you sell a higher strike call, shorter dated option.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And right now, as you mentioned earlier, options, the liquidity is pretty thin and you're managing a multiple 7-figure account. Do you find issues with liquidating, buying and entering trades since your account size is pretty large?
The account side has nothing to do with the liquidity of option. Liquidity option is based on the number of transactions between the participants in the market, right? Even if you have a big account, but you trade on some stocks that have very thin liquidity. I mean, not many people are interested in trading those. Then you're in trouble, right? You get out, you have to pay higher or sell at the lower price. So I focus on only those that have high liquidity, the common names. So the few things that I look at a stock when I trade an option is, first of all, to have a sense of whether the option has liquidity, high liquidity or not. You look at whether they have the weekly options series or not. The stocks that have no weekly options, normally it's a low liquidity.
Right.
If there are a lot of people who are interested in those stocks, they will create more weekly series for you to trade. So that's the first indicator for you to see. So that's the first one I look at. If I like some stock, somebody tell me that, hey, why don't you look at it? And first thing I saw, there was no weekly option. I say no. Immediately I say no, number one. Number two, I look at the bid and the ask between, and a certain strike price, especially the at the money strike price. If the bid and ask is so wide, then I won't touch it, right? So how wide is it? My own rule is 0.4% of the stock price. If the bid and the ask, for example, if the stock price is at $100 and the bid and ask is more than 40 cents, I don't trade it.
Got it. Okay. This is a question actually from Elson actually. So before this podcast, I was actually asking around, hey, what questions do you have for Bang and stuff? So actually, Elson was curious to hear, how do you actually handle drawdowns, especially during difficult market conditions? I think maybe the psychology that's going on in your head.
I usually reduce my exposure during that time. This is really, there's no black and white rules here. It's just based on some judgment. For example, right now, we are now entering September, right? And statistically, people say September is a most challenging month in a year. So September and then October. So this is a period that we need to be cautious, just based on the historical data. Then I would just reduce my number of trades or the trade size. So reduce exposure. That's the way I manage the risk, right? In a period when we normally have for example, year-end rally, Santa Claus rallies, then I will increase my exposure. Yeah. Or the other way to manage the risk is I will do more risk-defined strategies. The strategies that I know exactly how much my max loss in the worst case scenario. I could not lose more than that. That one, even the worst case scenario happens, the stock price collapses, I know exactly how much I would lose. As compared to undefined risks, some strategies, the risk is not defined. For example, you sell a put option. You heard this one very commonly in many forums, right? Sell cash secure put. Sell cash secure put means you sell a put option like you sell a insurance or the premium. You collect the premium there. If the stock price collapses, the worst case scenario is you have to buy the shares, right? That's the worst case scenario, which is fine if you have the cash to do it. The problem is by the time you sell a put option, the broker does not block on your buying power or your margin. They block just a fraction of it, making you, I mean, maybe you feel good because you say, okay, how can I sell sell put option on Microsoft and I pay only like $3,000, right? So you felt that, okay, I still have a lot of buying power here. Why don't I do more? So I sell more, and that is a perfect setup for disaster because that $3,000 will not stay the same. So when the market collapses, 3,000 will quickly become like $10,000 or $30,000. The worst case scenario, you have to buy Microsoft stock 100 shares at $40,000, right? So that's kind of a little bit like tricky thing. So I call this undefined risk kind of trade. So in the period when I judge that there could be some pullback or the tough times coming, then I will do more on the risk defined kind of trade. Risk defined kind of trade is like calendar spread, diagonal spread. You enter, you pay $1,000, and that's it. You cannot lose more than $1,000 no matter what. Market goes to zero, you will still lose only $1,000. So that's the risk defined kind of trade. That's how I manage my risk. Having said that, in the bear market, I would still experience drawdown for sure, like what I had in 2022. Sorry.
And then how do you like get out of the drawdown? What's the thought process in your head?
The thought process is it because I've been trading for almost 20 years now in option trading, and I know that it's inevitable, right? There will be year that you have drawdown. Just make peace with it. You just get on and then get by through it because you know there will be time like that and you will come back. I experienced setbacks many times in the past, and every time I experience it, I pick it up and I come back stronger and I generate even more money in the subsequent years. The good thing is bear market doesn't happen very often, right? Maybe once in every 5 years, 4 or 5 years. So then most of the time you make money, and that will be more than enough to offset the setbacks that you experience. Exactly like insurance business. You sell insurance, there will be, the perfect storm where you get hits everywhere, right? Accident here, accident there, and you have to pay compensation there. But there will be year there's a lot of, business as usual thing, and you keep collecting money. And you have to be okay with that business. And once you're in this option trading business, you have to be in that mindset. You cannot say, I need to win every year. You cannot. There will be times when you have drawdown. Thing here is don't make the drawdown to destroy you. You have to quickly get it out and move on. So that brings one very important point in trading: stop loss. A lot of people feel very difficult to cut loss, right? Because that means they need to admit they're wrong. And that's a very tough one because it's more like emotional, ego kind of thing. When you cut loss, that means you have to admit you are wrong. The second thing is there always inner voice in the back of your mind saying, why don't you just hold it on a few more days, see how it goes? Because the price already dropped so much. It must rebound. And that is the killer. That will be based on my experience, that will be a disaster because the loss will snowball. And in no time, you lose on the capital. And the longer you let the loss snowball, the harder you have to recover to make back on your capital. So the rule is very clear. Hit your stop loss, you get out and move on. And I felt and based on my experience, after you cut loss, the cutting loss is painful in itself at the point of cutting loss. But once you've done it, you feel so good. You can sleep so well. You don't have to think about it. So imagine if, I also experienced for myself several times when I have a losing position or big losing position in my portfolio. Every time I look at it, I feel a pain. It's like in your body, right? Suddenly you have some pain in your arm, on your knee or elbow. It's not a big pain, but you kept thinking about it. Keep thinking, okay, how can I recover this one? Things like that. So when you have loss that hits your criteria to stop loss, get out. And you feel very good about it. You feel so good, you can sleep well. And that is important in trading. You keep your mind clear so that you can focus on the next opportunity, make money, right? Rather than being dragged by the old one.
So I think that I heard of this comment, right, where someone said, right, selling options is like picking up nickels in front of a steamroller. What's your take on that?
I mean, right? I think yes and no. I mean, I find some kinds of selling option like zero DTE. Remember, a lot of people talk about selling option that expires in the same day. They call it zero DTE, 0 day to expiration. And it become a trend. I think last year is more common than this year, where people kept selling option, call and put option expiring on the same day on SPX, because SPX, they have an option that expires every day, right? So they kept selling option like that. I mean, for example, SPX at 5,500. Now they sell 5,004 put and they sell 5,550 call. They collect premium from both sides, and the premium will expire within a day. So few hours, you get some money. Sounds very good, right? Sounds very good because you have a very little chance to have the price to move that much within a day. So exactly like what you say, collecting money, or in this case, penny, because you sell so safe kind of option strike that the premium is not like big one, but enough if you sell a few contract, few $100 a day. Some people like that. But it's just like you say, it's like you stand in front of the steamroller, right? For me, I use the similar analogy. I say these are people who keep collecting pennies in the train track. There's so many coins and pennies somebody left there in along the train track, and they feel so good, just go and keep collecting it, and they ignore what's going on, right? You never know. Sometimes the train comes early, and then you have no time. So that's exactly what happens. I mean, there will be day when S&P 500 can go like $100, 100 points, 200 points in a matter of few minutes. And that will wipe out all the money that they have collected before that, for sure, and even more. So exactly what you say, right? So that's one type of selling option. I'm not one of them. And I told my students that don't do that because of the risk that you mentioned, but also because in this business, you will have to monitor the trade like a hawk every single day until it is closed, right? Until it is closed. I don't have that luxury because I have to sleep. Because in Singapore, I can only trade the first few hours, and that's that. That's it. We have to go to bed. So first of all, the risk profile, and also it doesn't fit with my lifestyle. So I prefer the way I sell option than that one. So for example, the safer one, like sell a bull put spread. You sell a put option, but you cap the downside risk by buying a lower put to cap the downside risk there. But you give it like a month or something. You don't have to sell within a day. I mean, the one that expires within a day. And you sell a month, you get even better premium. And the put is far enough from your strike, and the price moved. You still have time to adjust or to cut loss. Unlike the one that you sell that expires in a day, that one you have no time to adjust, right? So depends what strategy you're talking about. There's so many different selling option strategies. The one that Adam and me have been using, I would say it's much safer than that.
And also for the one where you mentioned like people trading options within the day itself, they can also mitigate their risk by maybe having another leg to kind of like cover their downside if the market suddenly swings against them.
Can, but because you sell options that expires within the month, the day, you need to have what is that? Even if you buy a lower put option to protect, for example, the difference between the long and the short put is still very far for you to have a decent premium, net premium. And therefore, the max risk is still significant.
I see.
Yes, you cap your downside risk theoretically, but the risk is still very high.
So we are very curious on. So you're a very successful options trader, but still you chose to work for P&G for a number of years, whereas many traders would be, man, I can trade option full time. Why work for an employee here, right? So what's your thought process, to why you made that decision?
It's a good one. It's a good company to start with. So Procter is a company I worked for 28 years. I never thought I could have that long journey with them. To work in the company for 28 years, the company itself has something that keeps you inside there, right? Many times you will have some other, thoughts, right? So other headhunters coming and want to move out, offer you a better package and stuff like that. So I look at this company and the way they treated me and my family, I really appreciated it. If my children had the chance to work for them, I really want them to work for Procter. It's a good company to work with. I mean, the way it treat people with respect and with dignity, the way they move my family around in 5 different countries and provided the support along the way, I just say, much better than we have hoped for, right? So for that reason, they're not paying the best package. Compared to the industry, they pay good, but not the best for sure. But that's not very important. The way they treat the employee, the culture, the environment there, it's so good. You feel safe to work there, and you feel secure, you feel protected. The families, everything is good, and we're very happy with that. For that reason, I kept my journey on, and I do my best to help. And to be honest, they also provided a lot of good trainings inside, because one of the philosophy of the company is to promote from within. So most of the position, the high-ranking position, they don't hire people from outside and put there like CEO and stuff like that. They groom people from ground up, from junior to the senior people. So that's why they provided an intensive training program to make people like become a leader and stuff like that. So that's something you cannot find any elsewhere. Now, having said that, when I was young, I can do that one, because this is a job that I love. I learn, I earn, and I do trading at the same time, because I could manage both daytime, nighttime. Good, because it doesn't conflict with each other, right? So daytime, I work full time in Procter. Nighttime is my personal time. I can use it to do my own stuff. But I can imagine in the US, it will be tougher because that will be in the same time zone. But luckily, we are in Asia. I can do both when I was younger. Now I'm getting older. So when I'm getting older, then it becomes tougher for me to do that, because one, the work in Procter is getting heavier and I have more night calls. Sometimes night calls can last until midnight and definitely affecting my trading time. Number one. Number two, the work that I have with P&R Profits also expanding, right? The community is expanding. There are more people joining us every single year. And there are a lot of questions. Adam and me and the coaches, we all jump in answering hundreds of questions a day. And people keep asking questions 24 hours. And I think that I thought that I need more time and effort to help, right? So then I say, okay, I love these two equally, but now I have to make choice, right? So after I stopped working in Procter, I say, okay, no more corporate. I work there 28 plus the previous job, more than 30 years already, enough, right? So I want to use my energy and passion for one thing that I love, right? Which is trading and helping profits to grow even faster and supporting community better. Things that I did not get when I told you I took the proper option training many years ago. At that point in time, there was no support system at all, right? It's like classroom training and one-off deal. Once it's done, done, right? I asked my trainer, I mean the one who trained me, he replied me after a month. Even he told me that, he say I'm one of his best students, but I asked him and then he did not reply me until after a month. I say, okay. So after that, I went with Adam and we committed to making this is one of the best in the world where we have the full support system. People like new people joining in, they can know how to get help, and they can ask questions, whatever questions they have, and they get reply almost instantly. Right. So that is where I use my energy and time now for. At the same time, I also felt that over the past 30 years, my wife have sacrificed enough for me, for my career development and traveling around with the assignments that I've been through. It's time for me to be with her more, and the kids have grown up, so then it's important also to spend more time with your family.
Nice. Looking back right now, what do you think are some of your defining moments in your life?
For me, first of all, in terms of work, right? I have so many bosses throughout my 28 years in Procter, and before that, I worked in Airlines company. Bosses make some important decision that change your life, right? First of all, for me, a few things come to mind. Before Procter, let me talk before Procter, right? I told you the story of my life story. During my childhood time, and that brought me a few thoughts that I feel is like a compass for my life. Right. The first thing I realized that when you are so close to the death, like I was many years ago when I was floating on the sea, you will feel that you love this life very much. And because you did not die there, you want to make sure that from now on, you will live your life to the fullest. Do your best. Live to the fullest every single day in your life. I want to reach out to more people now, sharing with them what I know, and also learn from them as well at the same time. So the first thing, live your life to the fullest, right? And that's the lesson that I learned from the accident I had. Number two, if something doesn't kill you, make you stronger. In my time when I work, I remember I told you I did not get paid for 3 months. And there was a fight with my boss and the general manager. I did not get paid for 3 months. At the time, I really needed money. I did not give up, though. I did not give up. I kept my head down, kept working on and very hard, and I got rewarded. So it did not kill me, and it made me stronger. So every time I face some setbacks in my life, in my trading, I always thought back the experience that I had at that point in time. That was probably the worst time in my life when I have no money left. I have to work for free, and there was a lot of pressure on the day. And I've been through it. So I say, this one's nothing compared to that, right? So something that doesn't kill you makes you strong, right? Number three, take your opportunities. Do more in everything and do your best. Every time when the opportunity comes, just grab it with both hands, right? So I told you when my boss was looking around for someone who can replace the vacant position in the Philippines, I raised my hand. I did not even call my wife about that. But I say, I go, right? And I make that decision by myself. And after that, I have to spend a lot of time convincing my wife. But I grab it immediately whenever it came, and I got it. I know I have very little chance, but I raised my hand and I got it. So opportunity comes by every now and then. You just need to make sure you are there to do your best and grab it. Yeah, don't just wait. And the last one is keep learning, because I'm getting old now, but I still need to keep myself busy, trading every day, testing new thing, and then teaching people, answering questions, because when you answer people, you also need to search and get the knowledge and then get the right answer for it. So that's the way that keep me learning and keep me, not obsolete right now, because I stopped working corporately and now just focusing on this one. So keep learning. And that's a good thing. So those are the few things that really the live lesson for me. And so those are, I don't know, it's something you're looking for or some.
Yeah, it's good. Anything you wish to add or talk about that you didn't have the chance earlier?
No, I would say that so my life has been going through some challenges. I did not give up, and I got what I am today. But I have to also say that I appreciate a lot of helps and supports along the way. Right, me myself, I cannot do it. I got a lot of good bosses in my career who helped me. Understand my needs and give me some assignments that help me grow, and also move my family around and get my kids good education, so kinds of thing. And I have Adam now also, the one that helped me not only on the communication, but also really put all my knowledge together in a systematic way so that I can teach people, right? And I continue to learn from him, right? So those are the many people that you have gone with in your life really help you, but of course you also need your own effort.
And before we go, where can others find and connect with you? Like, do you want to be found on social media, or website, whatever?
I intentionally be under radar, as I told you, very low profile. I don't want to be on social media on a very big way. Of course, partly because when I work for Procter, that's the way it prefer. I don't want to be on social media. But now I'm no longer in corporate world. Maybe with Adam, I need to be to show my face a little bit more on the social media. So you will see me more, because I know P&R Profit is now developing something else. There will be some live streaming, webinars, at least within the community first. But I will do more live streaming. That's we are planning.
Okay, sure. So if anytime you are comfortable putting a link or URL, just let me know and I'll leave it in the description below. Yeah.
Okay. So right now, just contact P&R Profits.
Okay, P&R Profits. Okay, you can see the quality that P&R Profits. Yeah.
Thank you.
So Bang, right? Just a quick one. Just want to say thank you so much. Your story is very inspiring, right? From refugee, almost dying in the sea, right? From not speaking English, climbing your way up the corporate ladder, right? Not giving up the fighting spirit. I really admire you for that, and you've inspired me. Thank you, right, for sharing your story. Thank you for inspiring me, right? Thank you for, sharing your life lessons, right, with all of us here. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Bang.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up, my friend? So just one thing before you go. Do you know you can download the transcript of this episode? This way, you can easily recap the lessons and insights of this episode without having to listen to it again. And that's not all, because you can also download the transcripts of all the past episodes and quickly catch up on what you've missed. So if you're interested to do that, then go down to raynerteo.com/script. Script is spelled as SCRIPT. So once again, it's raynerteo.com/script. Go check it out and I'll talk to you soon.